Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. This is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to this special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where we're going to take a very close look at Ixalan and what's going on with the Ixalan singles this week. We're going to look at the top 10 hot cards from the set and also the top 10 cold cards right now. Now, quickly before we get started, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support the channel if you're looking to do so. You'll find our Patreon page linked down there, as well as some product links for Amazon. If you purchase anything, once you go through those links, we'll get a small percentage back. And also, Flipside Gaming has provided a promo code for our viewers, which was really awesome of them. And they have just restocked an Iconic Masters if you're looking to pre-order that. So with that being said, let's get into the cards for today. Before we get into our top 10 list, I'm going to start off with the Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers because there is always a little bit of interest in these cards. Players that want to pick these up, whether it's for casual purposes or maybe for a commander deck, they don't necessarily always want to just go to the Target, Walmart, or their LGS and buy the whole deck if they can get the card cheaper, like a reasonable price, right? So a lot of people will watch these closely. So this week, Huatli Dinosaur Knight goes down 28 cents to $7.92. And Jace, Ingenious Mind Mage, goes down 44 cents to $7.26. Alright, let's look at the top 10 Ixalan cards that have lost value this week. So we're going to see here a lot of cards that maybe during the pre-release time had a little extra hype around them, or cards that are still good cards that just haven't found a foothold in this early portion of the meta. Number 10, Registrar Alpha, down 42 cents to $6.90. Now, this was a key card in the Dinosaur deck, so it has seen play in Standard. The problem being is that deck so far hasn't lived up to a lot of people's expectations. So because of that, you're already seeing a decline in this card. Now, there's other Dinosaur cards from that deck that are actually good cards in some other decks. Like some of them transfer well into things like Constrictor decks and such, or even Energy decks. But this one really feels like a Dinosaur card, and if that deck doesn't really turn itself around very soon, this card's going to continue to drop. Even so, also keep in mind that this is a rare, so $7 for this rare that's in a deck that's underperforming. This thing is going to slip quite a bit probably over the next few weeks. Number 9, Vance's Blasting Cannons, down 43 cents to $1.90. This is a weird card for me because I really like it. It just doesn't quite fit anywhere with its casting cost. I think that's the problem with this card. It wants to be in a hyper-aggressive red build, but the problem is those decks don't want to run this for 4. If it was 3, maybe, but I think at the 4 spot, it's just kind of like, well, you're already flooding out on land at this point, and you're still keeping the aggression off your opponent now by playing this. It just feels super awkward. The decks could really capitalize from this are the ones that are super streamlined, like probably a modern burn deck, but unfortunately, again, for 4, it just doesn't fit into those builds. Maybe you could work this into a mid-rangey deck eventually in Standard if the meta went in that direction, or maybe even a big red deck, but again, are those decks really as concerned about this type of card draw as a more aggressive deck? Maybe not as much. So it just feels a little strange to me. I don't really know where to put this card. Number 8, Shaper's Sanctuary, down 45 cents to $2.34. I think this is a cool card, and I do think it will see play at some point. It feels like something that's going to come out of like a sideboard in a modern deck or something like that. So this is one to keep an eye on, but I do feel like when it does see play in the future, it's still going to be a little bit niche. Number 7, Rowdy Crew, down 59 cents to $2.02. So this one is probably the most disappointing mythic of the set. It's just way too high variance. Like a 5/5 trampler for 4 would be awesome, but the variance level here is just way too high to control. And it's just underwhelming when it isn't a 5/5 trample for 4. And most of the time it's not going to be. So yeah, this is going to continue to slide even more. Number 6, Dowsing Dagger, down 63 cents to $2.76. Okay, this card and another card we're going to see in a few moments on the list are suffering from the fact that, at least in Standard right now, there's no good things to ramp into. Like, there's no solid ramp strategies that feel better than other things that are going on out there. And in some cases, these are overkill. This card in particular feels like it might be also a little more difficult to turn if you're in a 1v1 situation. Now, with that being said, though, the card could see some play in the future if there are some Standard decks that are looking for the utility of this Lotus Veil style land on the back. but beyond that, great commander card. So if you're a commander player and you want to pick one of these up, you can probably find it for $1 or $2 if you look around. I think it's a great card to just have on hand, whether you're planning on putting in a deck now or later. It just feels like it's going to be one of those things that's going to show up in a lot of commander decks down the road. So might as well just jump on it now when it's cheap. Number 5, Dire Fleet Ravager, down 67 cents to 324. Another kind of disappointing mythic for me. Like, again, that ability enters the battlefield is rather high variance. Nice to have a 4/4 Menace Death Touch, but for 5, that feels a little expensive, especially when there's cards out there like Vona, for example, which granted is white, black, and 3, but it does have Vigilance, Lifelink, it's still a 4/4, and it has a more relevant ability a lot of the time. Yeah, it just seems like there's a big disparity between a card like that and a card like this one. Just feels so much better to me. I don't know. So this card's a little disappointing. Maybe it would have been a little better if it was like Menace First Strike, just make it tougher to deal with. But I don't know. Kind of is what it is, I suppose. And I do think this will continue to tick down. Number 4, Watley Warrior Poet, down $1.25 to $9.98. Here's another good card that just doesn't really have a place right now. Maybe it will in the future. It does feel like it was meant to be in a dinosaur deck, but the problem is, at least early on, the dinosaur builds just looked more streamlined being Gruul as opposed to Naya colors. Now, those decks didn't do so well, so maybe there'll be some retooling and all of a sudden this card does play a role in the future. But also it's competing with Samut, which is another good Planeswalker that of course is in the Gruul colors and just fits really well with dinosaurs. So because of that, I think this one's going to continue to drop. It's going to have a hard time finding a home. Again, another good commander card, especially if you're trying to build a commander dinosaur deck though. Number 3, Jace Cunning Castaway, down $1.36 this week to $12.94. Now, Jace is a good card, and some people are hard on Jace, again, because his abilities don't feel as strong, but it is a 3 casting cost Planeswalker that can relatively quickly get to the point where it is doubling itself, and that's kind of sweet. So I do think this card will see play. This isn't typically the type of card I would expect to see a lot of play the first couple weeks of a new format, just because it takes a little time to build and wrap your head around a card like this, I think. Maybe it's not even this next meta. Maybe it'll be after the next set or next couple sets come out. I don't know. But I do think this will see standard play. In the meantime, though, this will continue to slide. Number 2, Carnage Tyrant, down $2.22 this week to $24.68. Well, here's another strong dinosaur that's on the decline, but keep in mind this card is still good in other decks, seeing play in Constrictor decks, Energy decks, stuff like that. Now, you're not going to necessarily see this 4-ofs in those decks or anything like that, like maybe you would have, at least in some builds of the dinosaur decks, but even that's kind of aggressive. Carnage Tyrant, though, just generally good card, but it is overvalued, definitely for the amount of play it's seeing right now. And it's going to continue to slide, so don't overpay for this one. Be careful. This is going to go down quite a bit over the next couple weeks. Number 1, Growing Rights of Itlimoc, down $2.29 to $10.46. Okay, so I alluded to this one earlier, another card that has a big mana payoff on the other side. It's just, what are you doing with that mana payoff is the big question. Now, with that being said, this is still a good card, has potential for some standard play down the road, no doubt, and it even has potential for modern play. I would like to try this out in a Modern Elves deck and try to form something that maybe feels more like a Legacy Elves deck, and I don't know if that would work or not, just something I'd want to test out. I do think someone will stumble upon something, though, to do with this in Modern. It just feels like the raw power level's there, and again, it's another fantastic commander card, so for commander purposes, if you don't have one of these, you will want to pick it up, but this will continue to slide over the next few weeks unless it shows up in some sort of standard build that does well in one of the big tournaments coming up. All right, let's look at the cards that have gained value this week. Probably not a lot of surprises here. I mean, the cards that have been seeing play in the more successful decks over the course of the first couple weeks are the ones that are hot right now. And we're going to start off with Mana Base. You're going to see 3 check lands on the list today. Glacial Fortress being the first, up 23 cents to $3.29. Now, yes, these things have been printed a number of times, but they do have new art, and standard players that maybe sold them off when they rotated out last time are going to need them. And these are actually really good in 2-color decks. They're decent in 3-color decks, maybe not as good in 4 or 5-color decks, but it feels like the meta, at least for the most part, is sticking to 2-3 colors right now, with some exceptions. There are some good 4-color energy decks, for example, but I think these cards will be really strong going forward. And also, too, I mean, we did lose a lot of strong mana-based cards, so something needs to replace them. Number 9, here's another one, Rootbound Crag, up 26 cents to $2.97 this week. Number 8 is Legion's Landing, up 26 cents to $2.99. Raw power level for this card I think feels pretty good, and I would expect for this to see more and more play as time goes on. Number 7, Gisath Sun's Avatar, up 89 cents to $7.93. This one's a mythic, not really increasing this week due to play in Standard, but increasing due to Commander play. Basically, if you want to build that Commander Dinosaur deck, you kind of need this card, so this is going to be one of the ones you have to pick up. Even if you don't want to spring for, say, the Carnage Tyrant right now, this one's kind of necessary due to its legendary nature. Number 6, Settle the Wreckage, up $1.43 to $5.29. Very, very successful sweep card. Also kind of works as pinpoint removal at times. And we're seeing it in these control decks like the Approach control deck, which is very popular right now. A lot of builds of that, running 3 of these in the main, 1 in the board. Also running a couple of Fumigates on top of it. Very, very controlling build, and this card's a big piece of it. Number 5, Drowned Catacomb, another check land, and this one very popular. The Dimir colors are looking strong, up $1.66 to $5.95. Coming in number 4, Deathgorge Scavenger, up $2.44 this week to $6.43. Nice little jump for a card that's a rare, not a mythic. And it's a dinosaur, and we know that dinosaur deck stumbled, so what's the deal? Well, this is still a great sideboard card outside of the dinosaur deck. Yes, it's saw main deck playing in that deck, but other decks are running this out of the board to deal with things like God Pharaoh's Gift. Now, with that being said, this is a nice little jump for a rare, and expect this to snap back over the next few weeks. Number 3, Hostage Taker, up $3.34 to $17.50. Okay, this had a huge week last week, still going up this week. The card is just looking amazing in so many different builds right now. I mean, everything from gifts decks to energy decks to some of the control decks even. I mean, the card's awesome. So this will go up probably a little more before it starts to slide back down, but it is a rare, so adjust your expectations here. As more packs get open, this will definitely be going down. Number 2, Vraska's Contempt, up $5.29 to $9.43. Another rare that's taking a pretty nice spike upward this week. So, what's the story with this card? Well, it's awesome. It's seeing play in Standard, and it's going to see play in Standard for as long as it's legal. It is fantastic removal, no doubt about it, right? Now, the card is a little high right now. I think it's going to snap back from this spike probably within the next few weeks. So be careful what you spend if you're looking to pick it up. But you're seeing a surge right now, especially these cards that have performed well early on. Players are not waiting for the Pro Tour because the Pro Tour is a little bit later than it was in the past. Usually players would see the set come out and they'd say, okay, I can wait couple weeks, 3 weeks till the Pro Tour happens, and then see what the pros are doing with the cards, and then I'll decide what I want to play at Friday Night Magic for the next season. But right now, because the Pro Tour is still a number of weeks away, players are just going to go ahead and say, all right, what's going on at Star City Games Opens and other tournaments? And it's okay, I kind of like that deck, I'm just going to engage in it. So you're seeing price spikes happen a little bit quicker than you normally do, and that's due to the new schedule. Now, we did have the World's Championship, of course, this weekend, but you do have to keep in mind that that is a very different meta. The players in that are looking at their standard choices through a lens of a small tournament. A lot of times they even test together, so they kind of know at least what some of their opponents might be playing. And also on top of that, they're not going to take any risks, right? They're going to play some tried and true decks like Ramanap Red and such, and that's what we saw. So you don't want to put too much stock in what was going on for the standard meta in that particular tournament because it's very unusual. But things like the Star City Games Open, Dallas, stuff like that is really what people are looking at right now. And of course, this card has been very hot. Number 1, speaking of cards that are very hot, another rare, Search for Azcanta, of $7.82 to $14.25. Awesome in control builds. The Approach control deck, I think, is just getting a lot of attention right now because it just looks like it's fun. And there's a lot of different types of players that might think that deck's fun. For example, control players will like that deck, but also players that like alternate win conditions are going to like that deck. So I think a lot of people are trying to build that deck right now, but this is also good in just your regular old control builds too. So this card is going to continue to be hot, I think, for a couple weeks now as people scramble to get it, but do expect some snapback because of the fact that it is a rare. More packs will get open, and the players that are scrambling early on will eventually get their copies, and you'll start seeing prices come down. All right, with that being said, That's our look at Ixalan this week. I'm going to keep a close eye on it over the course of the next few days. If the cards start to feel more stable to me, I will eventually work them into the regular market watch on Saturdays. And if I do it this week, great. Maybe I'll wait another week. I'll kind of wait and see what it looks like when we get closer to the weekend. But even if I don't put them in the regular market watch, I will do another update like this next week. So either way, we'll be talking about these cards. Until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.